fell in love like immediately, and I said that's what I want to do. Because when I joined, I first thought like I was super patriotic as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
like a very very patriotic kid. I grew up in the '80s, and so um, things felt better then. They felt more hopeful.
Okay.
You know, like I used to think that the United States was kind of like the big brother to the world, and like we were helping the oppressed and, you know, the defenders. And so, anyway, so I thought I was going to go into infantry. I thought I was going to like be on the front lines, but no, I fell in love with interrogation, and so that's kind of what I did. I deployed a couple of times to Iraq. I did interrogations down there as well as what's called source operations. So it's training and recruiting and training spies to go out, collect information, and bring it back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then after that, I was an instructor at the intelligence school in Arizona, teaching source operations, and then from there, I started doing internal investigations as well as money laundering investigations at J.P. Morgan Chase and then Wells Fargo. So financial institutions I was doing. Basically, when I found out that you could do interrogations in the United States without being law enforcement,
Yeah.
I was like, that's all me.
Yeah.
I love that because, I mean, no offense to anybody out there who's law enforcement, but
But
I
all the
don't.
offense. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but no, like a little bit,
Yeah.
a little bit of offense to you because I don't know. I just didn't want to join that culture. So, so yeah, that's what I did, and that's what I'm still doing now. So, I actually left the financial institutions a couple of years ago, and I started a company called the 682 Group, where we teach um, regular people
Mm-hmm.
about communication. So what we found is that in interrogation, the way that we conduct interrogations, effective interrogations, can translate to the way that you live your life, the way that you communicate with people, the way that you communicate in your relationships and at work.
Hmm.
And so we've kind of created training that teaches you different styles of communication,
Hmm.
and it's important. The world is changing, and so I think instruction and learning how to communicate with each other is far more important than maybe we have thought in the past.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, because I was thinking about the couple of guests ago. I think you had Michelle does it all. Is it
Oh,
or
Michelle did that.
did that?
Uh
Michelle
huh.
did that, and she was talking about how she tells people, you know, like she was getting in trouble or like having conflicts and stuff like that. And I think it's because like we do struggle. We
Yes.
struggle with communicating. We struggle with being honest with each other, and it creates a lot of conflict, you know.
Definitely.
And so that's kind of been my life for the last 20 years
Mm-hmm.
is lie detection, interrogation, investigation. Um, that's been my whole life, except for the
Yeah.
other side,
Yeah.
except for the other side, which is I own Thunderhead Entertainment,
Mm-hmm.
and that is I don't even know how to describe it. We just try and put on events that sound like they would be fun to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to go to all of those events, by the way.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about what they are, but like,
Okay.
what made you start that? Because
So
that's on the opposite side of what you
yeah.
do.
So when I had just left the army, um, so the first year after I left the army, I didn't do anything. Okay, uh, I had missed my oldest son's first year of life because I was deployed,
Mm-hmm.
and so when I got back, I got out of the army, and I just spent a year just being a dad.
Mm-hmm.
I was like a stay-at-home dad, um, and so the way that I was living in Florida at the time, the way that I would stay in touch with my friends and family is we used to play we'd play games online. We would play Battlefield, Call of Duty. We'd play games like that, and we kind of had this tight knit community of people that we would get together at certain times every day. Not every day, that's ridiculous, but
Yeah.
yeah, like every few days we'd get together, and I really love that sense of community. and playing war games like that, and it just felt really good. So when I got back to San Antonio, because I love the city, I had to come back. Got back to San Antonio, and I wanted to bring that same sense of community, and so so I had this idea, this kind of ridiculous idea to like, well, what if we can bring those games to life?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of been the impetus to like creating all the other stuff that we've done, which is we initially started with Thunderhead Laser Tag, which was an outdoor tactical laser tag field that we built a strong community. People loved that, and then we just kind of went from there. And we did the Nightmare at Black Swan Inn, which was that was an incredible. We had a really good crowd that went out there, and then we did Ravens Ball last year at the Deco Ballroom. Shout out to Deco Ballroom. It's an incredible venue. And then this year, June 22nd, we're going to be doing the, it's called Thunderhead's Wasteland Casino, which is going to be like a post-apocalyptic style casino with like entertainment, and it's going to be a very cool event.
Love
yeah,
it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
So it's going to be like, oh, what's that movie? What's that movie? It's like on the tip of my tongue.
Are you talking about the Fallout series? The Fallout series just came out. It's post-apocalyptic, but
no,
I don't know what you're referring to.
Mad Max?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm actually thinking, and I need to talk to the venue owner about it, but I'm thinking about having kind of like a Thunderdome type of battle inside the venue. So we'll see how that works out. But no, like I just want to do things that like I would want to go to.
Yeah.
And I think that sounds like a lot of fun.
I mean, I want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I read, that Edgar Allan Poe event that you had, and I was
Thank you.
Shit.
Yeah.
How did I miss that?
Well, we're going to do it again.
Are
so
you?
We're going to do the second annual Ravens Ball at the end of September.
Okay.
So the way we kind of look at it is it's like the kickoff to Halloween season.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's the end of September, and people get to dress up, and it's very spooky. Like it was a really great turnout, and we had a lot of local San Antonians performed there, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Halloween is my absolute favorite.
Yeah, it's
anything.
I think that's so. It's very unique to San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if like you haven't lived in too many different places, you might not know, but San Antonio is hardcore into Halloween.
Yeah.
Like we are really deep into it, and
we're spooky.
Yeah, and anything spooky, anything Halloween related, Nightmare Before Christmas, like San Antonians eat that shit up.
It's me.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so like the turnout is really great to events like that.
Yeah. I'm actually going back to Salem for the second year
Really?
in a row. Yeah, because
Oh my God.
we went last year, but it was the very end of September. And it was cool, but we left before, like, I think we left on the 29th or 30th or something, because we didn't want to get into, like, we didn't know how crazy it was in October. And so we're like, no, let's not do that.
Right.
And then we're like, well, shit, we missed it by like a couple of days, like the parades and all that.
Wow.
So now we're doing it again, but end of September, beginning of October. And
Yeah.
so we'll be there. Well, no, actually first week of October, we're going to be there.
How long is their event?
Oh, well, so the first weekend is like their main kickoff, and they do their like Halloween parade. But after that, it's all of, October. So
That's amazing.
yeah, I'm super excited.
The hotel that you stayed at, was it like themed or anything like that?
No, which they should have. We stayed in Peabody.
Yeah.
So it was like 15 minutes.
I don't know why I said like I
I
know
yes.
of course I know
Yes,
Peabody,
Peabody,
Massachusetts.
Yes. Yeah. We were like 15 minutes from Salem.
Yeah.
Not too far from the Hocus Pocus house.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Yeah. No, I was obsessed.
Yeah.
Like I was like all black, everything. I was like, let's go. I'm a witch right now. Nobody talk to me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You dress up like you talked
I
about in
do.
the last. I was listening to the Lindsay episode,
Yeah.
and you talked about you were wearing the green shorts so that the aliens could come and pick you up at
Look,
Fiesta, Texas, so they could find you.
At this point, we know that they're real, right?
Yeah.
So just come and get me. Like if you're hearing this, like it's ghetto here, just come and get me.
You volunteer as tribute.
I volunteer, please.
Right. To get probed and everything.
I mean, what kind of probe are we talking about? I'm kidding.
Like,
kind
at
of.
least make it romantic.
Yeah. Buy me dinner first. Like, we'll talk.
That's
No,
funny.
but yeah, seriously, like Earth is ghetto. So so you talk about communication,
Earth
and
is ghetto.
it is.
That's
So
communication right there
so is
to the rest of the
adulthood.
world.
I tell people all the time, like the hood is adulthood. Like it's ghetto here. Like you have to pay bills, you have to do your taxes, then you have to be a parent. Like who let me be an adult? I don't know.
Yeah.
So
It is strange to be an adult and you still feel like a teenager.
yeah,
And I don't think teenagers ever understand that because I know when I was a teenager, I see old people like me and just be like, yeah, it's an old person.
yeah,
They've got answers to stuff. I don't feel like I know shit, you know?
mm-mm. Yeah,
I, it's weird getting in when I'm doing the training, I stand in front of people and they look at me like I have the answers. I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, I do, but also I
right.
don't feel like I do. You
Yeah,
know,
I
it's very
definitely
weird.
struggle with imposter syndrome, like
Yes,
for sure.
that's huge.
I've been in situations where I'm like, how am I here? Like,
Yeah,
what do you mean? Like,
yeah.
and same thing. Like, I did a training for the sheriff's department recently, regarding mental health,
Mm,
and they're all looking at me and they're like,
yeah,
and I was like,
yeah. You know,
like I know
imposter
what I
syndrome.
know, but
Yeah, that's a that affects so many people,
mm-hmm.
and I think it's really interesting that if you ever listen to social psychologist Amy Cuddy, she has a lot of really good. She has a TED talk that's really fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
She has good books. She has a lot of good instruction, and she specifically talks about imposter syndrome and how widespread it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because you feel like you don't belong there, but probably 75% of the class that you're teaching feels like they don't belong there.
Mm.
And so I think when you're able to kind of embrace that knowledge and embrace stuff like that, it kind of lets off some of the pressure. You know, when you're
Yeah,
like, we all feel like this. And I'm
yeah,
not I'm not special in that way. I'm not
yeah,
I'm not like the only person that's affected by this, you
yeah.
know.
When we were learning about it in class,
Yeah.
I like raised my hand and was like, "No, that's me. Like who you're talking about, that's
Yeah.
me." And my instructor at the time said, "Do you think that you tricked us into letting you into this school?"
Mhm.
And I was like, "Potentially. I'm very charming." And she was like, "No." She was like, "Okay, fine." She
Yeah.
said, "Do you think that you tricked us into passing your classes, passing your exams?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, no. I mean, I had to know my shit, right?"
Right.
And she's like, "Okay, so then you belong here."
Yeah.
And that kind of made me, that stuck with me. I was like,
Yeah.
"Well, I guess."
I think that's actually a really good point for like I think there are a lot of people that struggle with interviews,
Mm.
right? Like if you're going for a new job or something,
Mm-hmm.
um, you think that it's all information based. When you prepare for an interview, you're thinking about the logic of it. You're thinking about your answers and like this is what I did, and these are my qualifications. You've already passed that part.
Right.
If they've gotten you in the interview, they want to know, are you going to be a good member of our
Mm-hmm.
team? Are you going to be fun to hang out with at the potluck?
Yes.
And so if you're able, it's true. Like if you're
Yeah.
if you're able to just be yourself
Right.
and stop focusing on like the logical side of it,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think you're going to find that you'll do a lot better
Yeah.
at interviews. I haven't done an interview in a long time, so
Oh, okay.
like a job interview,
Yeah.
but like it still applies.
Yeah.
It's very important to just really be present
Definitely.
and just be yourself.
Yeah.
It sounds corny though, right?
But it's true.
Be yourself.
Yeah. No, truly be yourself because
Yeah.
you're right. You have that intelligence. Like, obviously, you got to that point, right? But
Right.
who are you?
Yes.
And that's what I try to get from people out of like, interviews when I do interviews with people or,
Hmm.
my podcast. Like, yes, you have this great, resume or
Yeah.
whatever, but who are you?
Right.
Because that's what people want to know. That's what they want to hear.
Yeah.
Anybody can talk about the stuff that they've done, right?
Yeah.
So regarding communication, I know that we had talked about it. People ask me all the time, like, so, you're in mental health, like, do you assess people all the time?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, unintentionally, I think, subconsciously.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not like sitting here trying to figure out like what's wrong with you.
Right. But
So
you can't turn it off.
right.
Totally.
So I have the same question for you.
Yeah.
Do you, when you communicate with people, are you like, you're lying right now? Like, I know you're lying. Or do you want to figure out like what's in their head or how they're communicating?
Well, it's a blessing and a curse.
Right.
And it's kind of like having a superpower
Right.
in some ways because when people lie to you, you're able to you're able to see it,
Mm-hmm.
and it sucks, right? Like to have that knowledge that we're lying a lot. I
Yeah.
mean, the average person tells about 2 lies a day. There's a lot of pseudoscience out there that says like it's up to 15 lies a day, but studies have shown it's 94% of us are only lying about 2 times a day.
Only
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're not big lies.
like white lies.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Like they're still lies, but they're,
Okay.
how are you doing? Fine. You're not fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so a lot of science will say that people are lying 15 times a day, which is just it's completely inaccurate. But anyway, so it's hard. It's still hard to turn it off. But I think what you have to do is just really embrace the fact that we all do it, just like I talked about with the imposter syndrome. We all lie, and we're all deceptive in some ways. And instead of looking at it as why is this person lying to me, I kind of look at it as an opportunity to see them as a fragile human.
Mm.
This is somebody that is, they're hiding something from me, but it doesn't mean that, I mean, it means that they don't want me to know something.
Mm.
And so, like, why is it up to me to pry into it and
Okay.
figure that out,
Yeah.
right? Unless I'm obviously interviewing you to find out the truth about something,
Yeah.
then that's very different. Then that, you know, that's a whole different story. But if it's a cousin or a friend or somebody that does, I might pry a little bit further and say, like, is there something, on your mind that you want to discuss, or
Yeah.
create a safe space for them to open up. But if they don't want to, but yeah, you can't turn it off. You can't turn it off, and it does change your outlook on life. But I do think, and I'm talking too much probably,
No.
but I do think I do think that there's, instead of looking at it as a problem, you can turn it into an opportunity for yourself to really enjoy life a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know?
So you said a couple things. Like me personally, like I really, really focus on like being the opposite of that. So I'm gonna sometimes overindulge information.
Yeah.
Which I've learned to like, who to do it with, who not to do it with. But over the years, but because I've been lied to so much,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, I'm gonna tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be as tactful as I can about it. I'm not gonna be like, I'm not gonna shit on you or make you feel like terrible, but I'm a terrible liar. Terrible. Also,
Yeah.
I don't have time or the capacity to keep up with lies. So I'm just going to tell you what it is.
Yeah.
And this is why I can't do this. This is why I don't want to do this. Or this is why, whatever, this is how I feel. So it bothers me so much. And it goes down back to communication when I have friends or family or whoever that I'm like, hey, like, what's going on? And I know they're lying to me.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, you're okay. And then I'm like, okay, what's going on? Because then I try not to go into like therapist mode, right? So then I'm like, clearly there's something wrong because I have spidey senses also, I know. So, what's going on? Like, this is a safe space. Like, we can talk about it. I'm not going to go tell whoever, like, this between you and I. And, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
But you're right, learning that it's not me, right? They're not telling me because it's me. They're not telling me because they either don't want to or, whatever the situation is. So
Yeah.
I think that's what communication comes down to a lot is people don't want to be judged, but
Right.
people also don't want to be vulnerable.
That's very true. I think the vulnerability is probably the biggest barrier
Mm-hmm.
right now between people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not diagnosing the country. I'm not diagnosing society, but like there's kind of a culture war between men and women right now.
For sure.
And everybody in between.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving anybody out. And I think it's because of communication. It's because of the vulnerability. And I like what you said about like that you've been lied to so much that you're more honest now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would be really great if a lot more people were like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're protecting something, like, for example, I'm not going to put him on blast, but my youngest son, he's going through puberty.
Oh.
Okay. So if you hear this in a few years, I'm sorry, because he's not going to listen to it now because, he's 14.
Yeah.
He's going through puberty. And like, there are some times as a man, I know that he's doing puberty things. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go too much
Yeah.
into it, but like I told him, you don't have to lie to me. It's okay.
Yeah.
You don't also don't have to tell me the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like let that sit.
Mhm.
But if you ever want to come to me,
Yeah.
you know, I've hoped that, and just this morning he told me, I think you've done a good job of creating a space where I can talk to you about stuff.
That's
Just
very
this morning
nice.
on the way to school, and
Wow.
so
That's
uh,
huge.
yeah, as a dad, like it feels good to hear that.
Yeah.
You know, yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, I feel the same way with my kids. I do the same thing. Like, hey, like, I'm here if you want to talk. If there are things you don't want to tell me, I completely understand.
yeah,
I can get you a therapist. You can
yeah,
tell your cousin or
right,
whoever. You don't have to tell me.
yeah,
You can tell your dad. You don't have to tell me. Whatever it is. But I am here.
yeah,
And I'm not going to get upset with you, but I need you to communicate with me because I
right,
can't fight for you and I can't help you unless I know what's going on. And because I didn't grow up in that environment, I grew up in you fuck around, you're going to find out. And I got hit a lot. I got yelled
yes,
at all the time.
yeah,
So it was a very hostile environment.
mm-hmm.
And so I don't want that for my kids.
Yeah. It's very strange that our culture,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very conservative culture, which is like it lies in direct contrast to how we actually feel.
Yeah.
Because I would say that we're kind of a liberal culture as
Yeah.
well. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we're a minority group. Um, San Antonio's got a small town feel,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but we still have conservative values.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like I know exactly what you're talking about. I grew up the same way, and I didn't want my kids to grow up like that.
Yeah.
I did not, and so I really, and I can't control what their mom does because I'm a single dad. I co-parent 50-50, but I can't control what they do on that side,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I really focused on that. Like, it's important to keep those lines of communication open.
Yeah.
Like you said, if you want to talk to them, you want to talk to, or don't talk at all, as long as you feel safe here
Right.
and that you can trust the environment that you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't hit my kids either. I don't
Yeah.
scream at them because it does nothing.
Yeah.
And you know that. Like,
Yeah.
and people are like, oh my God, you're one of those gentle parents. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm not like, now, Bobby, let's think about what we did.
Right. Yeah.
Well, depending on the age, right? But no, like there are consequences. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take your shit away, but I am going to talk to you about it. I'm
Yeah.
going to explain. And I tell people, you have to understand one, they didn't ask to be here. We brought them here. Two, they're their own person, right? And so we have to treat them as such.
That's very
I
true.
believe in autonomous parenting. So as far as like my style, like you're your own person,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to treat you like your own person.
Yeah.
I'm also going to explain because kids don't know when they fuck up that they're fucking up, or
Right.
like, hey, you shouldn't do that. And my parents were like, or my mom was, I would ask, why? And she's like, because I said so. And
Yeah.
I hate that. No, explain. Because if not, I'm going to do it again until you tell me why.
Yeah.
So I explain to my kids.
I call that kind of like oppressive parenting.
Hmm.
What you're talking about, and I think one of the issues that we have when we're talking about parenting, everybody obviously has their own opinion.
Sure.
Um, but if I were to take lessons from interrogation, a lot of people have ideas about what interrogation is, and they think that there's waterboarding, there's torture, and I even thought that when I first got in and my very first deployment, I thought that the best way to go was to get angry, was to yell at them, and I would get my way.
Mm-hmm.
I would show them who's in charge, and uh, they need to tell me the truth. They need to give me information. Um, but as I went along in my career, that's not that's not the way to get cooperation, and that's the most important thing when you're talking about kids is cooperation. You want them to learn,
Mm-hmm.
right? You want them to experience the world, but you also want cooperation and you want collaboration. You
Mm-hmm.
want them to work with you, right? Like if they can get themselves dressed or they are autonomous,
Mm-hmm.
they can figure things out. They're prepared for the world. It's because you've collaborated together, not because you've whipped them into shape.
Right.
Because so going back to interrogation, if you go into an interrogation booth, an interrogation cell with anger and with violence, and you start using methods of coercion, you're not going to get the truth. And it's the same thing with parenting. You're not going to get where you want to get.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we teach in the 682 group is that our methods of communication start with empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Empathy is the backbone to everything. You need to be able to empathize with the person that you're talking to, especially like you just said, kids. They're people too.
Mm-hmm.
They are not an extension of you,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're not. I mean, they're an extension of you, but they are not you.
Right.
And so, don't treat them as you would treat yourself. Treat them as you would treat another person who is thinking, who is feeling, who has their own goals, their own ambitions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you wouldn't just go up to a stranger and just be like, you have your shoes untied and kick them in the back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. I don't know. That's not how I operate,
Yeah.
but some people. But I mean, it's a conservative culture. And I know a lot of us still believe in that kind of corporal punishment type of parenting. I don't, but, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
we
mean,
hit a lot of stuff there. I'm sorry.
I know. No, but yeah, I don't like, I don't know, you don't even know how we're on the subject. I'll get off of it. But I don't like when people just beat their kids.
Yeah.
Or, like they're very demeaning, because kids stick with that. And that in turn grows that adult,
Yeah.
who is going to, perpetuate that violence or
Mhm.
that anger towards their children and
Yeah.
towards society. And then people are like, what happened to you? Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you're going to get a lot of hate on this because I'm just saying there are going to be a lot of people that are like, well, no, I beat my kid or I got beat and this is how I turned out. And it's like, yes, that's true. But you don't know what you're actually dealing with.
Right.
You don't know what you're dealing with until you actually dig it up and you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's why I'm this way.
Yeah.
People, I think when I'm teaching this stuff, people talk about this is just how I am. When I say when I talk about communication, well, this is just how I am. This is how I talk to people. That's not true.
Mm-mm.
That's not true at all.
Yeah.
This is how you've learned to talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you've kind of taught yourself or become habituated to talking to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It's I always use the analogy of like if you get a new phone, if you get a brand new phone, you're learning how to interact with that phone,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you get a brand new phone, you have to learn all the different ways that it swipes or whatever, as long as it's not like the same version of the phone or whatever.
Yeah.
And so you still have to learn how to use that thing. All of these skills can be learned, and the habits of the way that you talk to people can be changed.
Yeah.
It can be modified. You can just change your habits.
Absolutely.
It's very easy.
It's called evolving.
Yeah.
And people, again, especially like older men, older women, I would have noticed.
No, it's true. Yeah.
Are like, no, like nobody's going to change. And they literally will say that. No, nobody's going to change who I am, how I am, whatever. Like, it's not somebody trying to change you. It's that you should change. Like, your surroundings are changing. So you should change with them.
That's very true.
Learn and grow. Like, if you're ever like, oh, I'm the best I can be, then you're stunting yourself.
How do you think that things have changed since like you were a kid to now when it comes to communication, the way people talk to each other?
Well, aside from phones and social media and technology, like, I think people, I mean, I don't know. I don't have like, because I grew up in that, we had phones and we had computers and we had ways to communicate, but it wasn't like, I only have to compare as like childhood, like young childhood. And like, I mean, I remember, sitting out on the porch with my grandma and, literally cracking pecans and like sitting there talking, and
it's a nice memory.
Because that's all that we had.
Yeah.
That or a TV with, scheduled programming, which, but, I think now it's just, in a way, it's like made people, I guess, like depersonalization, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's not a person. Whoever they see on screen, oh, that's not a real person. Like, that's a person, but I can say whatever. I can, I'm a keyboard warrior. I can tell them they look like shit or they're fat or they're, whatever. And it's whatever. There's no consequences. But would you say that to somebody's face?
Right.
Because whoever you're seeing on screen is a person.
Right.
Who has feelings, who has a life, who has, So I think it's changed a lot. I don't want to say it's ruined communication, but it's definitely changed it.
Yeah. I think you've hit the nail on the head in my estimation. I feel exactly the same because it's very impersonal. Even texting, even texting somebody that you know, it's still impersonal, and people are so much more, so much more honest over texting.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's easier for them to just be like, actually, I didn't like this because they're not standing in front of you, you
Mm.
know? And I think it's created an entire society of people that are struggling with communication,
Right.
you know? Um, it's a struggle. It's
Yeah.
definitely, I mean, you see it in dating. I don't
Oh
know
my
if
God.
like, if you've gone onto that realm. I don't remember if you're married or not, but like,
Most of the time.
yeah, most of the
No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
so, but like the dating world is like it's an absolute mess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the like the Tinders and the Bumbles and all of that. Um, People are able to completely dismiss an entire human
Mm-hmm.
based on a picture.
Yeah,
Based on a picture,
that's wild.
it's just like, well, that person will never work out for me, and then they're completely removed from your life,
Yeah,
like just that easily,
forever.
that easily.
Yeah.
And I know that like some of the strongest relationships I've ever been around were people who met in person, right?
Mm-hmm.
They met like at a social club. Social club. What am I talking about? Like
I
who
don't
goes to this?
know.
What is that?
That was
What is?
very aging. You aged yourself, but I was just gonna let it
Yeah,
go.
no, they met at the Rotary Club
Yeah.
or the VFW. Uh, no, like they met doing something,
Yeah.
you know, or they met friend of a friend or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. But the man, this culture of just yeah, depersonalization, it's an epidemic.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that with my single friends. I have male friends and girlfriends who are single, you know, or whoever, however you
Yeah.
identify. Um, and they're like, it's trash.
Yeah.
And they've said, you know, it's like, you know, how they say it's like there's fish in the pond or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, this is the shallowest pond, and these fish have three eyes. Like it's fucked up. And I'm like,
That's
ooh.
hilarious. Yeah.
And I think it definitely comes down to that. And I've said that on other podcasts before. Is people are so unwilling to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like that person you're meeting is not your ex. Like
Yeah.
don't treat them that way.
Oh
It's a
my
whole
God.
new relationship, right?
Yeah.
Just fucking communicate. And then if you like that person, hey, I like you.
Yeah.
And understand they may not like you back. And guess what? That's okay.
Yeah.
Move on. You
Oh,
know?
that's so hard.
I mean, I'm sure,
Yeah.
but how else are you going to get to a point where you have a relationship? And then you get into situationships where people who are like, well, we're having sex and we're going on dates, but ooh, but you're single and I'm single. So I'm going to do whatever. Like,
Right.
and I really like you, but
But I'm not gonna tell you.
right. I'm sorry, what? Like I could never. I would, do you
Yeah.
like me or not?
Yeah.
Like literally here's like check yes
Here's
or
a
no.
note. Yeah.
Like yes. And then we'll move on.
Right. I left it in
Cuz
the locker.
yeah, yeah. I slide it back under the door cuz if not, cool, then move on. Like,
Yeah.
you know, people aren't
That's
willing
funny.
to put the work in and they're not
That's
willing
true.
to communicate and they're not willing to talk about their feelings.
Yeah. You know, one of the events that we had recently, and I didn't mention it because it was a complete disaster,
Oh
was
no.
we had an event called the Blue Party,
Uh-huh.
which was it was supposed to be a singles event around Valentine's Day,
Oh.
and I thought like I had similar thoughts about the dating scene, and it was like people need to be in front of each other,
Yeah.
you know, and so I had this idea that like it would be really cool if you wore something that let people know that you are open to being approached,
Yeah.
because the world has changed. You can't just be in a bar going up to people anymore,
It happens
right?
all the time. But yeah.
Well, okay, if you are semi-conscious,
Yeah.
right, about like people's space and their boundaries and whatnot, yeah, I mean, there are people that are still doing it, but I think the sort of people that like that women say that they want a long-term relationship with
Mm-hmm.
are likely not doing that. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like invading your personal
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
Because when you get into a relationship, you're like, they're all up in my personal space. And well, yeah, that's how they started.
Yeah.
They started doing that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's a whole other topic. But and so we gave everybody wristbands, and then like you could wear a number, right? So if you were interested, and then they were interested, and there was a match, then we would share your details with each other
Oh.
if you're open to that. But it was a disaster. We just didn't have the turnout that we were hoping
Oh.
for. But I think the point still stands. Like, people need to get out and do shit.
Yeah.
Like, it can't. No offense to all of you gym rats out there, but it can't just be the gym. You can't just go to the gym, work out every day, and look around at people and expect like you're gonna meet somebody.
Yeah.
You've got especially beautiful, this beautiful fucking town.
Yeah.
I love San Antonio.
Yeah.
I
Me
absolutely
too.
love San Antonio.
Yeah.
I just got into an argument on Facebook with some people about it. About,
They're
they're like,
haters.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're like, there's nothing to do in San Antonio. It's like,
Oh
just
my
get
God.
out.
Yeah.
Just fucking get out.
Yeah.
There's something to do every weekend.
Yes.
We have such a rich culture. This, if you're a San Antonio hater,
Get out.
get well, okay, yeah, go somewhere else. That's an easier way to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
In other cities, you won't find this.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find strip mall after strip mall of Marshalls, Michaels, Barnes and Noble. Like, it's just that whole Target beige strip mall.
Yeah.
You're gonna just find that and say, okay, this is a city. San Antonio has such a rich culture.
Yeah.
We have such great live music. We have an amazing art scene.
Mm-hmm.
And we have community theater, fiesta. I mean, we have like festivals every fucking weekend,
Yeah. Basically.
except for like wintertime. And
Yeah.
even then, we'll just bring it indoors.
It's true.
And winter's only like 3 weeks anyway.
It's true.
So,
Yeah.
so there's always something to do in this town, and I just can't stand it. So get out and do shit
Definitely.
and talk to people.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about, you talk to people about the asparagus that they're buying at HEB.
I talk to people all the time. All the time. He asked me before we were getting everything set up, and he's like, "Are you okay with silence?"
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, "No." I immediately said yes, and I was like, "Wait, actually, no, that's a lie. No, I'm not at all." I think too that divulging information. I think because that goes back to me being only child, and so I spent so much time alone,
Yeah.
like wishing I had somebody to talk to, that now I
Aw.
just talk to anybody. I know. Can we get a collective? Oh, thank you.
There we go. Aw.
Thank you, guys. All right. And so now, yeah, I'm just. But I used to joke about it too, because I'd be in school and I'd get in trouble for talking. And
Really?
now I get paid for it. So whatever, Mrs. Smith. Yeah, take that.
Is that a real person?
No,
Okay.
I don't remember any of their
What a
names.
generic teacher.
I know. I don't remember any of their
I've
names.
never understood that. I never understood when people say, "Yeah, Miss Iglesias from 3rd grade."
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
How do you remember any of that?
I don't.
Yeah, I was trashed every day in 3rd grade. I was just drunk off. No. I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
wow. I was like,
No, I'm
well, all
just-
right. Yeah, why don't you invite me? That's rude. No.
No. Yeah. I don't know. I think I just have a bad memory when it comes to stuff like that. I didn't pay attention.
Mm.
I was just too busy.
I'm sure I could remember a few if I really tried, but
Really?
yeah,
I'm completely done.
just
I've got
there. It's
nothing.
gone. Yeah.
Nothing. Even teachers that were nice to me and that had, like, I can remember the classroom, what it looks like. I don't remember
Weird.
the person.
Weird. It's just
Yeah.
a blank space.
It's just
just a faceless.
it was just a
person.
collection of
Yeah.
feelings and emotions over there amongst a sea of feelings and emotions.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, I remember one of my teachers from high school,
Yeah.
and she's now my son's vice principal.
Wow.
Yeah. She's like, "Oh shit, I'm old." I was like, "Actually, yeah," because
So she remembered you?
Oh yeah, no, we've stayed friends.
Yeah. Huh.
After I graduated, we became friends, and so
Yeah.
yeah, we've never stopped communicating. But I was like, "Hey, so now you're my son's vice principal." And
That's
that
incredible.
Shit's weird. And she's like, "Yeah, I need to retire."
Oh my god. I don't
Yeah.
even stay friends with like people from high school. Like, I tried,
Yeah.
and you like, everybody grows in
Yeah.
opposite directions. I think I've got like maybe 2 or 3 from high school that like I've stayed friends with
Yeah.
out of, like, you know what I mean?
I think
Going
same.
out
I
on-
mean, I'm friends with my exes. I'm friends with everybody. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm like, let's be friends.
Were you a good kid in high school?
I was.
Yeah.
I was.
Like
yeah.
like good grades, going to school
Yep.
every day, Like perfect attendance?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
And then I was in,
Aren't you embarrassed?
no, fuck no, I'm a big nerd. And then I was in like all the extracurriculars I could be in.
Really?
Yeah, well, because I didn't want to be home because then if I was home, I was alone.
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Right?
That's actually that's very revealing and
Right?
yeah.
Trauma, emotional
Oh.
damage. Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah.
So like what extracurriculars?
So I was a sports trainer. So like medicine, like
Oh,
sports
wow.
medicine. I was in PALS, like peer assistant leadership.
Where did you go?
I went to Lee.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm like looking
Why?
for somebody to judge
Hey,
me.
look,
Somebody
man.
always has some shit to say about Lee.
I went to J.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay. You're from the hood, though.
yeah, no shame.
Okay. Yeah.
No shame.
Let's see. I was in OSHA, which was for medical students. I was
Okay.
in, oh God, student government. I would like you name it. I was in other than
Yeah.
sports. I'm not a sporty. I'm not a sporty girl.
That's interesting that it seems like your life has kind of had a pattern of like, I'm gonna do a lot of shit.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's never stopped. It's
Like
gotten
you high
busier.
energy person. Yeah?
No, I'm actually not.
No?
I go off of other people's energy.
Okay.
So if you were sitting here and you were barely talking, one,
Yeah.
I would cut this episode way short. But
Okay.
two, I would match your energy.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't know why I do that.
Because you're an empathetic person.
Yeah.
Because you reciprocate what people are giving you. I mean,
True.
yeah.
The people that are super high energy all the time, no matter what, I'm like, read the room. Okay. Because you're like a chihuahua right now and we're chilling. Like, relax.
Oh my God. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this.
What?
I'm gonna get hate for
Okay.
this because I'm not a dog person.
What?
I'm not a dog. And listen, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this right here. This is the first time you're ever hearing this in the world.
Oh.
In the world.
Okay. You heard it here first.
Yeah. I think the dog love in this country is out of control. I think it's
I
out
need
of
to
control.
put an asterisk under this episode.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
His opinions are not the same as mine. Like, do not cancel me.
Yeah. No, don't cancel her. You can cancel me. It's fine. If you don't go to
Yeah.
my training, I'm not going to
Yeah.
be upset. But you can go to my events
Yes.
and then tell me off in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be good.
After you pay to get in.
As after
Yeah.
you pay for the ticket.
Honestly,
I think it's a little out of control. And I
not
think
a-
it's funny that you mentioned that because that's why I think it's out of control.
I'm
'cause-
not a huge dog person.
Okay, see? See, I'm not the
I
only
like
one.
cats.
Okay, I'm a cat person too because
Yeah.
they're so chill.
They really are, and people are like, "That's so toxic that
Like-
you like cats." And I'm like, they do whatever the fuck they want to do.
Right.
They love you when they want to love you.
Look, I don't need somebody to run at me and jump at me as soon as I get in the house. Like,
True.
I'm tired. Give me a
Yeah,
break.
yeah. Give me a
Give me some
second.
space, man.
Yeah,
And my cat looks up at me from across the room and is like, "Oh, you're back.
yeah,
That's it. Did you bring something?"
yeah. I mean, I love my dog. I do have a dog.
Yeah.
And she's amazing. But she's really chill. She's my little old lady, you know.
Oh, okay.
She comes to the door every day, but she doesn't jump on me. She did when
She's
she's
got
little.
cat energy.
She does now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, look, you're not gonna be a normal dog. You're gonna be my dog. So I need you to be chill, okay? And she's also like life of the party. Every time I have parties,
Yeah.
she's in the mix. Like one time I had a party and there's a full cumbia circle and she was just like laying in the middle of it,
Really?
like asleep. Yeah.
That's super
But people started the cumbia circle because they didn't want to like step on her.
Yeah.
So they were just like throw it in a circle.
cool. Do you remember doing that when you were a kid?
Being up late with my parents.
With your parents and
Or
then
my
falling
mom.
asleep
Oh
while
yeah.
cumbia music was on?
Yeah. I'd like wake
God.
up in some random person's bed, like, where am I? Or like getting shoved into a car
Yeah.
in the middle of winter and it's
It's-
freezing.
Why do I smell like beer?
Literally.
I'm a child.
Yeah. Is this cigarettes? Like, what is this? Yeah. Are these lights?
Oh my God,
Yeah.
what cherished memories. Like they are cherished though.
Yeah.
Like I would never do that to my kid now.
No.
Like cigarettes and beer and drunk people all around, but
Yeah.
also it was nice.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely have like a party house.
Yeah.
So, I mean, within reason, right? Like, we
Yeah.
have people over for barbecues. They are drinking, they're eating, but nothing crazy, no drugs, not even cigarettes, whatever. But
Yeah.
my kids are around it, because I don't want them to be too sheltered.
Right.
I think, but now, like, my husband, people are going to say some shit. He'll text, like, my son, like, the oldest,
Uh-huh.
and he'll come from, like, downstairs. I'll hear, like, do, 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 do. And he like walks in the room with like a beer. And I'm like, did you just text him to get you a beer? And he's like, why else do we have kids? And I'm like, that's so fucked up. This is a joke, by the way. Like,
That's funny.
he really does do it, but it is a joke. He doesn't think that way
Yeah,
of him.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm like,
It's hilarious.
you're terrible. Because I remember going, like, my grandpa or whatever would be like, yeah, go get me a beer. And I'd be like, which one? Like the blue or the red?
Yeah.
And, you know?
Yeah, I remember that
It's
too.
fine. It's not traumatic, guys. It's fine. I'm not asking him to make me mix drinks, you know? But
Yeah.
no, I think it's good for them to see us like also enjoy ourselves and have a good time.
Yeah.
Again, within reason, nothing crazy. But
Yeah, no, that is important. I
Yeah.
think a lot of us we kind of identify with the label as parent. We
Yeah.
identify with the label as dad or mom,
yeah,
and you get stuck in that routine where you forget, like, oh, I'm a person too.
yeah,
I've like when I went through my divorce, I started I mean, now I'm divulging. I started going out dancing again. I used to love going out dancing at at clubs and whatnot. And it was such a long hidden part of me that I completely forgot about.
wow,
And it's interesting, and that's what made me realize, like, we need to get out from that. And I mean, you have to do things just for yourself as a parent. You really do, to live your full life, and get out of that depressive state. I know a lot of you are out there struggling with depression, as parents, because you're not allowed to be depressed as a parent
right,
socially.
you're
Right.
right,
Socially, you're not allowed to be depressed as a parent because you're supposed to be, like, you've got to be strong for them, and you've got everything that you wanted, and so
yeah,
now you have to be happy. But no, like, you've lost so many. Like, some of you out there are probably like really great painters that haven't painted in years, or you used to make music.
yeah,
You haven't done that in years.
yeah,
That really affects your day-to-day well-being.
yeah. I tell people a lot, don't forget who you are,
Yeah.
and because people will always have some shit to say, right? And I've had people, including like my own family, that's like, like, well, my own family, my mom, super judgmental, and she's like, yeah, like, you don't want to like cook dinner every night for the kids. Like, don't you
Yeah.
think they miss that? And I'm like, no, because I've never done that in my entire life. Like, what do you mean? Like, I cook
Yeah.
when I can, when I'm home. Absolutely. I'm like, what do
Yeah.
you want to eat? Like, I'll make you your favorite dinner. Outside of that, I'm like, I'm picking something up or I'm ordering something in because,
Right.
and that's fine. Like, they know I love them, right? They
Yeah.
have a home, they have everything that they need and want, and, and more. So I'm like, why are you judging me? And, just people are like, oh, your husband doesn't carry you out, your kids don't carry you out. Like, no, why
Yeah.
do you?
Right.
So, and I'm working, I'm
That's
not
true.
out like
That's
doing
true.
like bin the house in the street. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
out working or networking. I'm doing something.
Yeah.
And so, where's I going with that?
Well-
Oh no. So I tell people, like, don't forget, like, you're you first. You were you before you were a wife, a father,
Yes.
a mother, a husband. Like, don't lose who you are ever.
It's hard though. It's a hard balance.
For sure.
And I think a lot of people are struggling with it because, yeah, that balance of, like, it feels selfish. And like I talked about, like, we do have conservative values in our culture, in our San Antonio culture, and I mean, not just San Antonio, Hispanic culture in general, but like that idea of, I'm gonna be selfish and go out and dance tonight. I'm gonna be selfish and go to La Semana Alegre. You know what I mean? Like, doing those things, it feels so selfish, taking away time from your kids, but it's important for your mental health. It's kind of like that idea, like when you take a plane trip and they tell you to put the mask on first, like, you got to take care of yourself also,
Right.
right? You've got to be healthy. You've got to be present. You've got to have confidence. And it's really hard to have all of that stuff when you've lost yourself.
Right.
You're completely gone, and all you are is mom.
Right.
All you are is dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also self-care.
Yeah.
And you have to, if you want to like feel good, whatever that means to you, like either looking good or, going to the gym or going out to dance or whatever,
Right.
you have to take that time out for yourself. And even, husband and wife, like, you have to take time to continue to date.
You've got to date.
Because at the end of that 18 years,
Yeah.
and you're sitting across a table and you're looking at a stranger,
A stranger. Yep.
you're stuck in that house with them. and you have to relearn them, and like,
Yeah.
fuck that.
You're like,
That's
oh,
miserable. Yeah, actually, I
and
don't
they're
like you.
ugly by then.
Yeah, you're like, ooh, what happened? How did this happen?
You
Like,
forgot to look at yourself, but they are ugly now, and I don't
yeah,
even know who they are.
yeah, whatever. So I'm like, no, like, do what you need to do to feel good about yourself,
Right.
and your kids will understand. Well, again, I'm really big on explaining to my kids, like,
Yeah.
I'm going to work, I have to go do this, because they'll ask, not like probing ask, but like, oh, where are you headed now? Oh, I'm gonna go. I have to go to the Riverwalk to go film a parade and then do
Right.
content, whatever. Oh, okay, cool. Well, and sometimes if I can't take them, I'll say, do you want to go? Nope. Have a good time. Like,
Yeah.
okay. And they're good.
Yeah. And those are good memories for them too, because
Yeah.
they're going to grow up, instead of growing up watching mom at the stove cooking every day. They're going to grow up saying, "Wow, mom did some really cool shit."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. My middle son, he's still kind of learning. He's like, I know you're in media,
Yeah.
but that's about it. And I'm like, cool, just don't Google me and like we'll be good. Like don't look at anything that I do. And he doesn't have social media, so he doesn't even like understand.
Yeah.
But my oldest does, and I was like, don't follow me.
Yeah.
I won't follow you, you don't follow me. I'm gonna trust you with this. These are the rules of social media, and we'll go from there.
You know what I think is really cool at my house? My sons know that I was an interrogator, so they don't even try to lie to me anymore. It's so easy.
That's
It
smart.
is so easy
Yeah.
to just be like, "Did you do this?" And they're like, "Yeah, I did that."
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
like it was a blessing.
That's fantastic. See, my kids, they're like, no, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
sure about that?
The sure about that?
Yeah, you sure about
Sure?
that?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that what you're gonna go with?
Yeah.
Is that where we're going
Yeah.
right now?
Because if I find out different, yeah, I'm gonna not spank you, but
You-
it's gonna be a problem.
If you actually learn, and I don't mean you, I mean people in general, learn lie detection. Uh, Kids are so easy because kids don't have the social training yet. They don't
Mhm.
understand social cues, and so they are really easy to detect deception. Um, so if you're ever interested, let me know. And I have a book that I haven't
Oh,
published
nice.
yet, but I've
Oh,
written it.
okay.
It's called Red Flags, the Deception Handbook.
Shoo.
And I can say, like, if you're seriously interested, I can send you like a free copy of the ebook before it gets published.
Oh,
But
I would love to.
okay, so yeah, it's like learning lie detection. Everybody should learn it. I really don't think that it should be something that is only taught to interrogators and
Yeah.
detectives and people like that. Like if you're let's say like an investigator at CPS, why do you not have
Oh,
deception training?
definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're a teacher, why don't you have deception training? If you have a business and you've got I don't know, let's say you've only got 5 employees and you see $2,000 is missing from your till, you should have deception training. It's so, and people that are entering in relationships,
Oh my God.
those 3-eyed fish,
Yeah.
like you should be able to see these red flags well before you get, because then you start thinking about like, shit, now I know his kids. You know what I mean? I know
Yeah.
his kids. I know like his kids know my kids, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think about that from the perspective of
No.
the single mom.
Yeah.
I was raised by a single mom. And,
Yeah.
so
I see red flags in people, and I'm like, ooh, a circus. Like, this is fun. So
what's going on there?
no, it's a
Yeah,
joke.
no,
kind
it's
of.
it's
not.
true though.
It is
You're
true.
like,
It
there's
is
gonna
true.
be some chisme
Or I'm
here.
like, maybe I can fix them. No, I
Oh.
stopped doing that. I stopped doing that a long time ago.
Did you though?
I really did. I
Did
really
you,
did.
though?
I really did. Promise.
You have a podcast for that,
It's
so that you can
true.
fix people when they sit here.
Yeah. No, I'll bill you after the podcast. Yeah. No, I did very recently though.
Yeah.
Very recently.
Yeah.
Like within the last year is when I was finally like, you know what? So it's a work in progress.
Good.
But no, I'm not here to fix anybody. I mean, unless you pay me to fix you, like
Right.
I'm not here to fix you. Yeah.
So you got your doctorate
Mm-hmm.
in what again?
In nursing,
Okay.
but I am a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner.
So you are a fixer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
And
I'm
you
like,
enjoy
"Yay,
it."
Red flags. I'm like, what happened to
It's
you?
a parade.
What
This
happened
is
to you? let's work on some inner child
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it's a problem.
It's really interesting how and a lot of people don't accept that the things that happen in your childhood, and I shouldn't say childhood, your youth, up until you're probably 18, really shape who you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They significantly shape who you are. Just recently I found out that one of my issues when it came to, because I've had issues with failure.
Mm.
Like I struggle with the idea of failing,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a lot of people who've ever
Same.
been into like honors programs when you were in school, like struggle with that, like perfectionism and failure. And um, I realized that like one of the things, I had an interaction with an Air Force recruiter when I was a freshman in high school. I was in ROTC, and the way that that guy approached our conversation like was such a pivotal moment for me,
Mm.
and it changed my high school career
Really?
like significantly.
Huh.
Yeah, it was basically, and I told you I'm an open book. I'm just like you. I've been lied to throughout
Yeah.
the last 20 years so much that I'm very open and honest. But essentially, like I got completely disillusioned with high school after that conversation, and I dropped out and got my GED because yeah,
Wow.
I mean I didn't realize it until like the last week
Wow.
that wow, that was a significant pivotal moment for me,
Yeah.
you know, and but I'm thankful because it still changed, the direction of my life, and I enjoy where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing what I'm doing.
I mean, you're obviously successful.
I'm doing okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Doing
That's
all
all
right.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than working for somebody,
Oh
you
my
know.
God. I could never do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to have somebody telling you where to be. My last boss, oh my God. My last boss, I had to leave because she would lie to me. She's lying to an investigator. She would lie to me and say like, "Oh, people are asking where you are because you know how like they would observe
Mm-hmm.
if you've moved your mouse,
Oh yeah.
people are asking where you are. Who's asking?"
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Oh, just people." And so I reached out to her boss. "Are you asking where I'm at? Like what's going on? I'm doing my job. Like leave me
Mm-hmm.
alone." I can't stand that sort of scrutiny.
Micromanaging.
Yeah,
Yeah.
forget it.
Yeah.
I'm done with it.
Yeah. So, quick tidbits on how to tell somebody's lying.
Okay, so first of all, probably one of the biggest things that people will do is they will try and convince you
Mm.
of something as opposed to conveying information. So if somebody is being honest, details are their best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll use a hypothetical example of where were you last night, right? Who did you go out with,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a relationship issue.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody's being honest and they've got nothing to hide, they're going to provide you with who they went. They're going to say times. They're going to give you details about like, oh, we went and we got Carl's Jr. Nobody goes there, but they went there.
Yeah.
And look, I've even got a receipt. You can check my transaction history on my card. And then we went to this place, and they're giving you specific details and times.
Mm-hmm.
A person who's being deceptive is going to use an emotional discussion.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to say, so instead of using logic like that and details, they're going to say, why are you always asking me questions like that? Don't you trust me? I would never do anything like that to you. So even if I just went to the club dancing with my friends, but like, I don't know why you're always hassling me, because
Mm-hmm.
they're using the emotional part of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're trying to manipulate you emotionally.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest thing. I think. Uh, Let me think.
But like as far as, because I know what I know as far as like eyes, physical movement,
Yeah,
stuff like that. So
yeah.
like, what's like a telling physical sign that somebody's lying?
Well,
That's like
physical.
like quick signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of difficult because everybody's a little bit different. So very
Yeah.
quickly, what you're looking for are stressors. So if somebody behaves a certain way, and this is somebody that you know in your life, they behave a certain way, this is called their baseline behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you see deviations from that, that's where there are stressors. So if you ask them where they went and they start like scratching their face or rubbing their neck. These are physiological responses. Blood is rushing to your face until they start scratching, or they're picking, or they're kind of distracted. I don't trust in the pseudoscience that says like eye contact, because everybody's different. Especially we're in a world of like autists, and people aren't making eye contact as much anymore.
True.
So it's okay. So it doesn't mean anything. So don't like, oh, they weren't looking at me, therefore they're being deceptive.
Yeah.
You've got to compare it to their baseline. They're never looking at you.
Yeah.
So so
Yeah.
don't take that into consideration. But I would probably look at anything that deviates from their normal baseline when you ask specific questions. And then, is it repeatable? Can you ask more around that specific incident? And then you start seeing more aberrations, because you're always looking for clusters.
Right.
Yeah.
Patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got so many. Like, honestly, we could do another.
Yeah.
I teach a whole thing on this. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
love it.
it's
love
been
it.
my whole life.
Yeah.
So, like, I could talk about it for hours.
Yeah.
And now we're getting to it at the very end.
I know. Okay.
So
I mean,
bring me back on if you want to.
Yeah.
Like, we could like, if you have people that ask questions
Yeah.
about it and say like, this is what I've experienced.
Yeah.
Or like, this is the text that I got. I'd be more than happy to go over it, and this is what I saw.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'd be
That
cool.
would be super exciting. Okay. I'm like, yes. Yeah. All right, cool. Well,
Yeah.
how do people find you? All of your pages or your websites, whatever.
Okay, so right now, the Thunderhead Entertainment, you can go to thunderheadentertainment.com if you want to see any of the events that we're doing, or on Instagram. I didn't I screwed up with my Instagram. I started promoting it on my personal page, and so go to @StoneAndEarth,
Okay.
and so like that'll be all of our announcements and stuff. Or on Facebook, it's Thunderhead Entertainment. If you're interested in getting corporate training for your large scale business, the 682group.com, and that's how you'll find us.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting
This
me. It
has
was
been
fun.
great.
Yeah, it's been fun.
I loved it. All right. And that's it, right? As far as
Yeah.
okay,
that's
cool.
it. Yeah.
All right. So thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate. Which camera am I looking at? There's okay.
Any of
Anyway, I'm
them.
just gonna pick one. All right. So thank you again to Valpa Media for housing and producing Latina Podcast Network, for having your network. Guys, make sure that you follow. Definitely be at events, because I am.
Yeah.
Now that I know about them, I'm gonna be there. Or training. Now, you know what? If y'all have questions, DM me, put them in the comments, whatever, or DM
Yeah, that
him.
would be fun.
Yeah, if you want to see him back, we could do some lie detection training.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
But I'd make it entertaining. It wouldn't just be
Oh.
it wouldn't just be me droning on.
Yeah. Entertaining lie detection. You know what I mean? Let's do it. So thanks again for being here. And thank you guys for watching and for listening. And I will see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Bye.